Hello and welcome. I'm your host, author Ryan M. Oliver, and this is the Mighty Books Podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Mighty Books Podcast. Today's featured author is Sheryl Bass. Sheryl, how are you doing today?
Great, and thank you for having me.
Of course, my pleasure. So today we're talking about your book or books. I think you have two out, correct? So
Yes.
what are the titles of your books?
My first book is Baby Dragon's Big Sneeze, and the second book is Baby Dragon Finds His Family. And as you might guess, they're both children's picture books.
I guess they are. I've seen the covers, and they're both very adorable, very attractive book covers for young kids. I think they would gravitate. My youngest son would love it. He loves dragons and all the things
Oh,
dragons, so
great.
he would just eat that up. So what can you kind of go over like what a synopsis is of the books?
Sure. Well, the first book, basically, the dragon is sort of flying around. He's been happy-go-lucky for a few weeks. He was recently born, so he's young. He's a baby. And he somehow catches a cold and he
Oh,
sneezes. And as we know, dragons breathe fire. So he ends up accidentally burning down a village. And everybody's
oh,
really mad at him and want to attack him and so on. But a brave little girl enters his cave to get his side of the story and finds out that it was by accident. He didn't mean to do this, and he sneezed and he has a cold, and he hatched alone in this cave, and he does not have parents to help him get
oh
over his cold.
no.
So she beseeches the townspeople to help him get well, and they help him get well, and in exchange, he helps them rebuild.
Very cool. Very cool. So that's the first book.
Yes.
And then your second book, that just came out recently?
That one came out in 2023.
Oh, okay.
So I have another one that's hopefully going to come out this year, the third one in the series.
Oh,
So
fabulous. You got
2025.
three. Very cool. So what's the
Yes.
second one? The second
So
one
the
is,
second one, the baby dragon's been living with the humans for a few months now, but he's starting to feel out of place. You know,
Mhm.
he doesn't know any other dragons, anyone else of his kind. So he decides to go on a quest to try to find his family.
Yeah.
And he runs into three different mythical creatures, an elf, a fairy, and a unicorn.
Oh, cool.
And he helps them all with various different problems that they're having. And spoiler alert, he never does find any other dragons, but he comes to realize that the people that have been caring for him all along are basically his found family.
Oh,
So
cool.
the second book is really particularly good for children who are adopted or who have a non-traditional family structure or blended family, that sort of thing.
Very cool. Now, what drove you to want to write these books in the first place?
The first one came from an actual sneeze. I was walking down the street about 15 years ago and I sneezed really hard. And I just had this ridiculous thought that it's a good thing I'm not a dragon because if I were, this would have done a lot of damage. And then I went home and started to write because I thought, well, this is a children's book. This is a picture book. So I put it away, didn't do anything with it for about 10 years. And then about 5 years ago or so, I started to try to get it traditionally published. And everybody who is an English speaking publishing house or agent, literary agent, has heard from me. None of them were interested. But the first book has gotten 11 international book awards. The second book has gotten 8 international book awards. The first one, yeah, the first one has a 4.8 average score on Amazon, and the second one is 4.9. So people really enjoy both of the books, and that was very validating after the rejections from the
Look at you
traditional
go.
publishing.
Yeah, I feel like independent publishing is just, I mean, it's got so much more freedom to me. And
Yes.
like you look at a lot of authors who are traditionally published. Now, I'm thinking like long time ago they started, let's say back in like the 70s and 80s. I think of Stephen King for he's one that comes to mind. He
Mm,
started as in an indie because
mm,
no one would pick his stuff up.
mm,
He had a different name, a pen name. And a lot of people start that way. Many fantasy writers, other
mm,
children's authors, same thing. They start because no one wants to pick it up. And all of a sudden, people see, oh, they actually like this. Oh,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. I feel like the publishers sometimes don't understand their own audience sometimes.
Right,
And they
right,
just, it's not the same kind of book that we're used to publishing. Doesn't mean it's not going to do well. Like,
right.
come on, take it. I get they're putting money in it, but yeah, to me, it just makes more sense. You own everything. You can push it. You get out
Hmm.
what you put into it. I love that idea of being independent. It's also a lot safer. A little safer. You're not getting swindled necessarily.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's a lot, yeah, like you said, there's a lot of creative control. So one of the things that I like about it is with a traditional publishing house, from the time they tell you they like your book till the time it gets published can be like 5 years.
Wow.
So that's a long time. And what finally pushed me to self-publish the first book was my father was very ill.
Oh, okay.
And I wanted him to be able to see the book by the time it got published. Unfortunately, he passed away September 4th of 2022, and the
Uh,
book published October 19th of
oh,
2022. So he missed it by like 3 weeks, but he
oh,
got to see it, the images, the illustrations in black and white. He didn't see him in color, but he did get to at least see him in black and white.
well,
So
that's
that was
great.
good.
Yeah, at
Um,
least he saw that you were aiming towards your goal and you were walking that path. So that's
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
So the time element is definitely in favor of self-publishing. And then the
yeah.
other thing is the creative control. So I picked my illustrator and I was able to tell him exactly what I wanted
I
the
love it.
dragon to look like, what I wanted the people to be wearing, what's happening on every page. So I was really world building in partnership with my illustrator. But if I had traditionally published, the publishing house would have chosen my illustrator. They would have said, "This is your dragon. This is what the people look like." And I would have had to sort of just go along with that.
Yeah, yeah. I've heard good things. I've heard some stuff has worked out before with traditional publishing where they go, "Hey, I got a good artist," and then they worked with me on making sure I got what I wanted. But yeah, you're right. They ultimately kind of have that. They dangle that carrot there. If you want this published, I am in control of it. You have to go
Hmm.
along with what I say. And I mean, the cover thing is something I really love doing. I love being a part of like the cover design. I
Hmm.
don't do the covers because
Hmm.
I'm not artistically inclined that way, but I have someone I work with and I can basically tell her yes, no, maybe so, add this, get rid of that. I have all the control. She's just the one pushing the buttons because she knows the programming. She knows how to
Hmm.
get the art. She knows where to do it. She knows the great people. I love that control of my art. And
Right.
it's such a nice, it's a good feeling. Now, mind you, it's a lot of work. Independent
Hmm.
authors, you do everything. You
Hmm.
are everything. You're the last stop. The buck
Hmm.
stops with you the entire time.
Right.
But anyway, so now going forward, so inspiration, that's really cool. It kind of hits you with a sneeze. I think
Right.
that's adorable. It's so weird how inspiration just kind of knocks into your brain.
Exactly. Yeah.
I want to hear about these awards though. How you said you got 11 awards for your book?
Right. 11 for the first one and 8 for the second one.
Golly. All right.
So
Walk me through that. Walk me through that. How did you get how? That's
well, you submit
fantastic.
yourself for the awards. So
Mm-hmm.
that's, and you do pay a fee, a
Yeah.
nominal fee,
Yep.
usually about $75 to submit yourself for various different awards. But there's thousands and thousands of people that submit themselves for these awards.
True.
And most of them were international awards. So I was
Mm-hmm.
competing with children's picture books in my genre, from all over the world. So I was competing against all of those people, and they have judges. The nominal fee is so that the judges are compensated something for reading hundreds and hundreds of people's manuscripts and
Right.
books and so on. So that's what that is for. And it's been really great for me. It's really helped my book sales. It's given
That's
me
fabulous.
the credibility,
Mm-hmm.
as an unknown author.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
these awards help to do that.
Oh yeah, the people see all those fancy ribbons and cool stickers and everything. They go, "Oh, oh, wow, it's got some pedigree attached to this.
Yes, exactly.
This is great. Let me take a gander at this thing." And I mean, if it's a catchy, it sounded like you won in like, was it rhyming too? Was that what it was? What did you win in exactly? Do you remember all the
Well, the
categories?
category is just for most of them was just the children's picture book
Oh, okay,
category.
okay,
But they look at everything. They look at the illustrations, they look at cover design, they look at the rhyming, and if the story has any holes in it, or if the story, flows really well.
yeah,
All of that type of, just literary excellence in general is what they're
everything.
looking.
That definitely helps with your marketing. Holy cow.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. So I
that's
would
ins
encourage other people. to submit themselves for some of these awards. I think it can be very helpful.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then how about so it came out book one came out you said 22
Yes, end of 2022,
and then book two came out
end of 2023.
2023. What feedback have you gotten from readers? Like mostly kids. I'm curious about how kids what good kids are thinking about the books,
Well,
if
I've
you know.
gotten pictures of kids holding the books and
Nice.
reading them all the time, and
Fabulous.
I've had parents tell me that their children say that they want the books to be read to them repeatedly. So that's really nice that it's not just a one-time deal that they, like to hear from the dragon on a nightly basis, So,
Yeah. Yeah,
so that's
that's a
awesome.
high praise
Yeah,
from
yeah.
very honest critics. Kids are very very good at being critical. I'll say that right now. I call them sometimes like my kids are little drunk people. They're a little too honest sometimes.
Mm,
It's like, why are
hmm
you so honest? You should not be like, okay, you're young. I guess I get it. But it's so funny. I love that. Now for the pictures, because I'm looking at branching into the kids book, genre. I've got dozens of ideas. One I'm really honing in on, and it's coming together slowly. But the picture idea is just it's a huge one to tackle. How did you approach working with your illustrator, finding your illustrator? How did that whole process take place?
Okay, so one of the reasons I was reluctant to self-publish is just the name, self-publishing. I thought I'd be alone in a room with a book called Self-Publishing for Dummies or similar, and I would just have to figure everything out myself. But I'm a member of two organizations. One of them
Mm,
is Society for Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, and the other one is Insider, Children's Book
mm,
Insider. Both of those organizations allow their members to have access to archived videos that give information about various things in the publishing industry.
mm,
So came across a video of a woman named April Cox who has a company called Self Publishing Made Simple. And she walks people through the whole process. She'll get on like a Zoom call with you, and she will actually help you, upload your manuscript and file it with the US Copyright Office. She'll help you get the ISBN codes for your books, which are like the little UPC symbols on the back
yep.
of the book. All of those kinds of things that somebody who's new to children's book publishing or any type of publishing wouldn't necessarily know how to do themselves. And then she takes the manuscript and the illustrations once it's all ready to go and uploads it onto Amazon, uploads it onto Ingram Spark, which is
Yep.
what allows the book to be in libraries and be on Target.com, Walmart.com,
Oh, that's nice.
BarnesandNoble.com, those types of things.
Yep.
So she walks you through all of that, and she has vendors that she works with. So one of the vendors that she works, well, 12 of the vendors that she works with are illustrators,
Oh,
and
cool.
they do something called work for hire. And I encourage everybody that when they are looking for an illustrator to try to find someone that's doing a work for hire type contract. And what that is it allows the author to have the rights to their characters. So once my book was finished being written, I had the rights to the dragon, I had the rights to Mirabelle and those characters. And so if I wanted to make a little plushie of them, I could. They're my characters. And if I wanted to make a sequel, those were my characters. So it wasn't that the illustrator owned them. I paid the illustrator outright, and then they're my characters. So, and the way I found the illustrator was April sent me to the websites of all 12 illustrators. I looked at their websites and I determined from there that about four of them looked like they were the top four for the type of style that I wanted of my illustrations. Then what I did was she suggested I have those four illustrators all draw the same image from the same scene in my book and pay them each about
Ah,
$50 just to do a black and white, just, sketch. And then I was able to narrow it down to two, my top two. And then I used my friends and family, especially those with kids, as a
yes.
focus group. And I said, which dragon is cuter? Which girl do you like better and why? And Ramesh Ram, who lives in India, is the one who ended up being my illustrator for both books.
That
And
is a
will be for the third one too.
Yeah, that is a very systematic, methodical way of choosing an illustrator. That is very smart,
Thank you.
incredibly smart. You're welcome. Yeah, I've seen folks who do not nearly as kind of that whittling down process. People will find someone who's good at the art part, and they'll just kind of hone it in. I feel like that almost would take a lot longer because the style, your style, the author's style would have to kind of morph for the illustrator where you are really picking and choosing what works for you and then hiring based on that. And I love that you are doing the work for hire thing. I don't think I want to do anything with contracts because that might be something where now we're this messy relationship where if I do want to do, like you said, make a plushie, make a second, do something extra, I now have to get permission or, sign offs from somebody else. And if you're the self-publishing person, you've got all these ideas and want to move forward the project, that just puts bumps in the road. Takes a lot longer, can be messy. There's a falling out, then we have a problem. So I love that you
Well,
purchased and went from there.
yeah. But there was a contract. It
Oh,
was a
there was a
contract
contract.
saying that it was a work for hire contract and that
Ah,
I
okay.
owned so that way I've got that in writing. So they can't turn around and say,
Okay.
"Oh, I want half of your plushie cost or plushie
Gotcha. Profits.
revenues or profits
Right,
or yeah.
right. Okay,
Yeah.
so you had that written in the sand, basically. This is how it's going to work.
Yes.
Tough nuggets if you want to change your mind halfway through, and
Hmm.
okay, well that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. That's a safe way to do about it as well. It's also very smart.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Hey all, if you've made it this far on purpose and enjoyed yourself, consider joining the Mighty Books Podcast Patreon. There, you get mighty benefits like early access to new episodes, exclusive members-only content, and even free audiobooks. It's a great way to enjoy more insightful interviews, fun conversations, and more mighty stories. Finally, it supports the show so I can continue to deliver top-notch content to you, my mighty listeners. Thanks again for everything, and as always, stay mighty and keep reading. So, can you tell me a little bit about Ramesh Ram? I'm just curious about him as an illustrator. If you would recommend him because he is a work for hire illustrator. Can you highlight any of his works, personality, or
I
like
just know that
that?
he's worked with a lot of the illustrator. He's been the illustrator for a lot of April Cox's clients that she works with. And
Good.
in 2024, I believe it was, she had like 100 different people that she helped get published with children's
Wow.
books.
Wow.
So many of them used him and his Pryan Animation is the name of his company and
Oh,
he's
okay.
sort of the head of Pryan Animation. And we did everything via email.
That's
So
awesome.
it was really exciting. You know, it was like a village to make my books.
Yeah.
My website designer is in the Philippines. April lives in Rhode Island. I live in Illinois. And, and then he lives in India. And so he would email me the different illustrations, and it was like Christmas, when I would open the attachments and I'd be like, "Oh, what's my dragon doing now? What does he look like? And it was very exciting. So it was a really fun process.
That's awesome. I love technology when it actually works and it can
Mm,
connect
mm,
people from all across the world to create something like your books. It's such a fun aspect. You do this, you look back, 20 years ago, and it wouldn't be nearly this efficient or this easy to do to connect
hmm
with people. I mean, it's allowed me to do stuff like this and talk to people all over the country and even the world to get, their books out. So this is a really
hmm
neat time we live in. Now looking at your bio, I saw here that you have created or are creating a publisher,
A publishing house, sort of a
publishing
publishing
house.
company, but it's only for my own books. So please,
Sure.
people, don't send me, don't send
Send
me
them,
your manuscripts.
send them all. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's only for me, for my books, but it's called Be Kind Publishing. And the reason I called it that is because my books all have messages
Mm.
about kindness and friendship and teamwork. I have a master's in social work,
Oh,
and a master's in journalism, and I use both of those to inform my picture book writing.
oh,
So
okay.
these books have what's called social emotional learning messages, what a lot of educators call
SEL.
SEL.
Yep.
Yeah. And basically the way I describe SEL is it's a lot of the kinds of intangibles that employers look for in adults. Are you a team player? Can you take responsibility and apologize when you've done something wrong? Take accountability, those types of things. Can you forgive someone?
Hmm.
All of those types of things are, I think that you can really teach them very well to children. Their
Yes.
brains are more open to that type of thing than working with adults
Yeah.
on those types of lessons.
Yeah. Yes, they can be. When you get a little older, I think it's like, I'm trying to pull back to psychology when I was in school. Uh, Kids or adults, if they don't go to like the abstract portion of their brain, they don't develop that abstract thinking, that concrete notion of someone did me wrong, that's bad, and doesn't go any, that means that may hold grudges or something like that. If you don't play well with others, life's harder when you don't play
Right.
well with others.
Hmm.
I tend to work a lot better with people who are more adaptable and flexible in that regards than
Right.
they're a little more rude, crude, and not something you want to deal with too much. That's fun. So, how long has your publishing house been available for you, the author? When did you start this?
I started it for my first book.
Oh, you did.
So it's
Okay,
been around since 2022.
nice.
So, and it'll be around for the Dragon series, but also I have some other children's rhyming picture books
Oh,
that
great.
are not the Dragon series that I haven't put out yet.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of amassing the funds to put those out there as well.
Yeah,
So,
it's not cheap to put books out, and it just
yes.
does take some time, it takes some money, it takes some energy. So
Hmm.
that's a fact. On any kind, that's the one downside I'd say to independent publishing is you're funding everything, but you also get all the profits. So
Exactly.
as long as you do it smart, you reach out and you sounds like you've got a great basis foundation for resources. So
Yeah.
learning people.
Hmm.
I've said many times before on the podcast, it's better to vet the people you work with, and honestly, if you can have a conversation like you and I are having, that way you've actually seen the person and work with them.
Yes.
It's just so much more comfortable than just some random person on the internet saying, I can help you, pay me thousands of dollars and I can make
Mm-hmm.
your dreams come true. That sounds too good to be
Right.
true, and it usually is. So
Right.
I'm glad you're working out. You got the kinks, mostly worked out and going forward. Now for any morals and lessons that you are creating, trying to tell in your stories, anything that pops up?
Well, the first book has messages about teamwork, friendship, found family, accountability, apologizing when you've done something wrong,
Mm,
forgiveness, not making judgments, not making snap judgments about others.
mm,
And that sometimes if somebody looks big and scary or whatever, that's, not to judge a book by its cover, those types of things.
yeah.
Although I do want people to judge my books by their cover because I worked very hard on those. But but anyway, so that's the first book. And the second book is mostly has a lot of the same messages, but focuses more on the found family aspect.
Okay. Okay. So now going forward, you said, you got other ones in the fire, other projects in the fire. Do you have other dragon books in the coming up for the
Well, I have
future?
a third in the series that I've already written and it's already been edited.
Wow, look at
It
you
just
go.
needs to be, yeah, illustrated and so that would be next. But I also have a children's rhyming picture book that I've written and it's been edited. It
Wow.
also has not been illustrated yet. The illustrations, although I mean, Remishram is great to work with, and it's been wonderful but it can be $3,000 to $4,000 for. So that's a bigger nut. The biggest nut, I think, is the illustrations because it's
Yes.
it's a picture book. That's the very first word in what it is a picture book.
Yes.
So you definitely want those illustrations to be top notch. But this other book that I wrote is about a dog that I used to have that had some behavioral issues, but we got him involved with agility. I don't know if you know about doggy
Yeah.
agility. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they show it on ESPN sometimes. It's
Yeah.
like an obstacle course for dogs.
Yeah.
It's like American Ninja Warrior, but with dogs. Um, and we got him involved with that, and that really made a difference in his behavior. So
Really?
I made a children's book about that, and that hasn't gotten published yet. That one's on the horizon as well.
Okay. Wow, you are moving. You're cruising, getting all sorts of good stuff done. And are you going to be doing mostly children's books for your author career? Or do you have other like novels and things like that in your noggin?
I would like to do a novel at some point. I feel like since I have a master's degree and subsequent experience in journalism, my the picture book format, which is, around 500 words or so,
Yeah.
seems to really fit my journalistic sensibilities because I
Mm.
learned in journalism school if you can't say something in 500 words or less, it's probably not worth saying, which I have to sort of unlearn, and wax poetic about a tree for, 3 pages or something. So I have to it would take really reshaping my brain a little bit in order to write something like a novel.
That's
And
interesting. That's
so, and
yeah.
it's a daunting task. So when I think about writing, and I really admire people who can do that. That would be a goal, but I haven't started on one.
What's funny is I love how you said you have to reshape your mind to expand on, details and kind of romanticizing different worldly aspect, all the things that novelists do.
Right.
I've been writing novels for a while, but I'm
Mm,
trying to go and do kids books because I used to teach kids for a long time, and it's fun to connect with them that way. Now I
mm,
have to think instead of this huge vast world that I created, I have to boil it down to
mm,
500 words, as you put it. That is
mm,
so hard to deconstruct and trying to make it as simple as I can while still
mm,
being engaging. It is
mm,
such a it screws me up every time I try. I'm like, I was
mm,
telling my older boy, I'm like, I got to make this simple. And so I start telling him about it. He goes, Dad, simple. I'm like, oh
mm,
man,
mhm,
okay, you're right. Kick it back in there. Okay, kick it back in there. So that brain shift is such a challenge.
mhm.
I don't know which one's harder. I think they both have their challenges. They
They
both
do, but I
have.
still think novel writing is harder, so I've got to hand it to you.
Oh, yeah. I think both are challenging, but I'm really looking forward to the book writing with children's books. It's just something. It's just
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just fun. The nostalgia kicks in a little bit when that's what you learn how to read is started
Hmm.
with picture books, and so it's just fun. Now,
Right.
other than the going forward with marketing. Love to
Hmm.
hear about your marketing strategies and skills and all that. You have pushed and done a lot of great things with your awards. What other marketing strategies are you using? Are you going out in public? Are you doing speeches? What are you doing?
I have what I do for a living is PR and media relations.
Mhm.
So I scheduled myself for podcast interviews. I was able
Yes.
to treat myself as if I was a client and get myself on podcasts.
Nice.
So, and other types of media. So that piece was easier for me. What was harder was like Amazon ads, learning
Oh,
about the ROI, return on investment with
uh-huh.
the ad, making sure your ad has the right keywords and all of that stuff. I was starting from scratch, like just anybody else with
Mhm.
that. I do think it's good to do some Amazon ads, but really watch your spending with that. There's a way to cap how much you spend per month because it can really get away from you. And then it can become like you're paying people to read your book. You end up spending more than you're
Get
taking
that.
in. But some of the things that have worked for me have been the awards, the podcast interviews, and I do some in-person book sales.
Oh,
So
good.
having a booth at like a farmer's market or similar, or there's a conference that I go to every year. I'll be going again this year. It's a pre-kindergarten, kindergarten, and first grade teachers conference. And so I
Really?
have a booth, at this educator conference, and that goes really well. And that's how
Nice.
I've been able to build my e-newsletter, which comes out every month from all of the
Mm.
people that go to this conference that are these educators.
Interesting, interesting. That's my wife teaches kindergarten, so she would probably be one person who would go to something like that, and she'd probably sign
Mm-hmm.
up and have a great time. That's really cool. That marketing is a huge chore, can be a huge chore. It can be a lot of fun, but it
Hmm.
sounds like you've got a decent handle on it. So
Yeah,
that's a nice. It just takes time.
right,
It's a
right.
lot of time. But anyway, I want to know where we can get copies of your books because you got two out. Want to make sure people can find you. Where can they find you and your books?
So my books are available on Amazon.com, Target, Walmart, Barnes and
Great.
Noble, all of those websites. But also the least expensive place you can get them is from my website directly. So that's Be Kind Publishing, and it's spelled BE hyphen kind publishing.com. And so you can get my books, Baby Dragon's Big Sneeze and Baby Dragon Finds His Family from the website.
Very cool. Sheryl, thank you so much for coming on today and chatting with me about your books. And it sounds like you got an awesome handle on things, and I see good things happening to you in the future for your books. So again, thanks for coming on here and chatting with me about your stories.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, anytime. And later on, if you got more coming out, I'd love to do this again and help promote you some more.
Okay, fantastic. I'll
Yeah,
keep that in mind.
cool, cool, cool. All right, guys, I hope you really enjoyed this conversation. Go check out Sheryl Bass's books. They sound amazing. They're really cute. You'll see them on the thumbnail there. Very nice illustrations. Enjoy them. Go buy them as gifts for, you got kids and maybe teachers who could read them into their own classrooms. That'd be kind of neat too. Anything to help local authors out. And also reviews. Reviews help immensely. So go review her books as well. So guys, have a great rest of your day. And as always, stay mighty and keep reading.